All right, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming from far and wide for our annual Vision Weekend, our annual end-of-year celebration to celebrate technology progress across different domains and encourage that to go forward for positive and flourishing futures. And we couldn't do this at all without Brewster and the wonderful Internet Archive. So maybe just to get you guys situated, do you want to say a few words about where we are in this beautiful space?
Thank you, Allison, and welcome to the Internet Archive. I'm glad you're all here. Yay! Okay, where are you? Okay, you know that you're sitting on pews, as they call them, seats for sinners. Feel free to sort of there are these little cushions that are made out of .com swag t-shirts that have been donated. Or just sort of, make sure you stretch a little bit. How many people is the first time here? Woohoo! Well, welcome to the Internet Archive. So a couple just fun things. The servers of the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine and all of that, some of them are behind you, 15 petabytes. And the lights actually mean something. So those are servers on a 100 gigabit connection, dark fiber connection to a switching point at 200 Paul. Anyway, kind of cool. And but the lights, if your light blinks, it's somebody either uploading something or downloading something from the Internet Archive. And if you work for 3 years for the Internet Archive, we make a little statue. So that's what the little statues are around the place. And yes, we have bathrooms that don't archive your things. Feel free. So glad that you're here. There's staff here that can help you out. And I'm looking forward to today. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Brewster. Yeah, thank you so much for hosting us. It's always a pleasure to come back here every year for the first day of Vision Weekend. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. I want to get a quick show of hands. Who here came from, let's say, the Bay Area? Oh my God, so many Bay Areas. Who came from within the US, not the Bay Area? Okay, that's also a lot of hands. Who here came from outside of the US? Damn, thank you so much for taking this very long journey upon yourselves. We're really going to try to make it worth your long flight and while. And often when people have jet lag, we have a morning crew and an evening crew that lights up at different days. I really also want to make sure to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much. We've had, I think, more sponsors than ever this year, and you really allow us to offer lots of subsidized tickets, travel assistance, and so forth to many people here. So thank you so much for making this happen and for supporting this community by so long. And we really look forward to hearing more from you throughout the day. Maybe one more show of hands of just who has been to a Foresight Vision Weekend before? Okay, great, that's a lot. And who is it your first time? Oh, wow, I think we're almost like 50-50 or something. That's amazing. So everyone who's been here already at a previous Foresight Vision Weekend, please take the others by the hand, because it's going to be really wild. We have more program than we could possibly hope to ever get through. I think we're really wanting to come together once a year in France and here in the US to just celebrate technological progress across the board and to figure out how we can actually advance technologies for better futures. So thank you so much for making your long way here. For everyone who perhaps hasn't been to a Foresight event or perhaps doesn't even know all that much about Foresight, I really want to make sure to just briefly point out to you a few of the people that you can meet throughout today. So Foresight Institute is an organization that was founded in 1986. Many of you actually have been there at our founding here, and it's always really fun, I think, to see so many new and very many familiar faces here. And we really try to support high-impact technology for better futures, especially that is not supported by legacy institutions all that much. We have different technology tracks. So we were founded on the vision of molecular nanotechnology, which many of you here, I think, have a really deep interest in. We also have a really big biotech longevity track. We have a neurotechnology track focusing mostly on BCIs and whole brain emulations, a computation track focusing on cryptography, security, and AI. A space track, that's new now since a year, and it's been really flourishing. And an existential hope track to really try to kind of like think about the positive futures that we can create through these technologies. So it's kind of the wrapper around the other technology tracks. Now, in each of these tracks, we have a very similar program, and this weekend is really to connect across them. But in order to like figure out a little bit of like what we're doing throughout the year, I want to briefly mention to you a few of the things that many of you have been to, just that you know roughly of like what the different areas that people are coming from here. So we're doing annual in-person workshops in each of these areas. Who here has been to a Foresight workshop before? It doesn't have to be the Neurotech one. Okay, great, wonderful. Then you know that drill. They are pretty technical and they really focus on like advancing a specific technology frontier. We also have lots of prizes and now a new AI safety grant. So we have the Foresight Feynman prizes, the Norm Hardy prize for computer security, the AI safety grants, and we're really gearing up to give more and more prizes, including the longevity prize that we started last year with VitaDAO and Methuselah. So there's lots of different grant opportunities out there. So if you're interested in one of these, please make sure that you apply. We have our virtual seminars. Conrad, looking at you here, unmissable with the wonderful hair. And the virtual seminars are really a place for many people in our community to meet monthly in each of these different technology tracks. So who has been to a Foresight seminar before? One of the virtual ones. Great, okay, so you know the drill. That's mostly for people throughout the year to get an update of what other people are working on and to create a little bit more of a virtual community between our in-person events. Then our core, we have our Foresight Fellows. This is a sneak peek into our 2024 Fellows, but we have now, I think, 7 years of cohorts. So if you have been a Foresight Fellow or are a Foresight Fellow or will be a Foresight Fellow the next year, please raise your hand so people can make sure that you actually get to talk to a few of you. You've been doing absolutely amazing work and it's really incredible. I have big imposter syndrome when I'm in the room with you. We have publications out. So all of our workshops come with publications. They're spread around the entirety of the Internet Archive, so feel free to dig into them. And we already have our entirety of the 2024 workshop set up, so you can already start applying to them if you're interested. We're also building technology trees that help map an entire space so that new people can actually like know roughly who are the main actors in that space, what are the main technological capabilities, and how can they make the biggest effort or the biggest impact in that space. If you're interested in them, they're all on our website for each different technological area. We're currently revamping them with a new AI automated tool that you hear more about later. But that is roughly kind of like the span of our programs in each of these different technological tracks. Now you maybe have a rough idea of like who's actually here, but I think in order to lift our gaze a little bit about like what we could possibly do this weekend, I wanted to give you a quick, fun whirl through of Foresight's history. For me, when I met, like, the way that I came to Foresight was because I found our archives online and I was flabbergasted at this community that has been since 1986 pushing technology frontiers. And so I think it's really interesting as we look ahead into the future to take a sneak peek of all the really mind-boggling things that have been going on in this community in the past, 37, 38 years now. So here are a few of them. This is from an XP magazine, and this is Eric Drexler, one of our co-founders, Mark Miller, Max Moore, Nick Szabo, and a few others predicting on long-term technological progress. And you can see that back then people were really, really ambitious, right? Here, I think one of them is Cryonics industry revenue, 1 billion per year, 2015. We're not really quite there yet. But you know, like people were really pushing hard and thinking really deeply about the long-term future all the way back in 1994. This one is another fun one. We actually had a prediction market set up by Robin Hanson, by which people voted by sending checks to our offices, literally. That was the prediction capacity at the time in 1999. And again, people were really relatively ambitious about what we could do with technologies in the near-term future. Here's another oldie that I found that I think is wonderful. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's from our 2007 member gathering, where we had mind uploading, Cryonics, elections and e-voting, diamond mechanics synthesis, the sense pathway, and so forth. So it's been really wild, I think, for a long, long time. People have been really pushing on tech progress for quite some time. Now, I want to give you a few little just hints at what that looked like. Of course, we were founded on the vision of nanotechnology. This is our 2007 nanotechnology roadmap together with Battelle. And you know, since 1991, we've been given the Feynman prizes, and we've had another workshop that was really wonderful this year, really focused on molecular manufacturing and different approaches for that. But again, this goes back to a lot of people pushing really early on this. Here's another one. I remember the Foresight 2017 longevity workshop, where we basically had the workshop next to a squash court in a members club in Palo Alto, because that was the state of longevity at that point. Yeah, and I think we've really seen it really explode over the past few years. But I think the roots were like pretty, I guess pretty timid. Now, this one is an oldie and goldie. In 2008, Anders Sandberg and a few others co-authored the roadmap for whole brain emulations. And then I think that field kind of like, or at least like there wasn't a really big concerted effort to actually push for this. And of course, we have like a few people here that have been really, really at the forefront of this. And I'm so delighted that we're now like also within Foresight pushing a little bit more on that front. And we had our 2023 whole brain emulation workshop this year. But again, it's, like there's always like this, I think this gap between like what positive futures people envision and then like how long it really takes to make them happen. This one is from one of our secretaries in 1986. He was involved in building this online world where people were just like thrown into the same online community. And I think it was also setting a pace for like enabling us to cooperate better in the virtual world. And of course now we have things like network states, or we had even a pop-up at Susalu, one of the pop-up network states this year. But I think again, like people were thinking 1986 about this stuff already. This one is another one from the archives. It's the L5 Society, which was an adjacent society to Foresight, where many Foresighters were really involved in really figuring out how we could possibly make the L5 points work. And again, it took us some time, but many people from our space workshop are here again, and we're really trying to invigorate that field again. This one is a totally crazy one that I couldn't believe at first, but a few people in the Foresight community were involved in a 1984 sea launch attempt for a rocket. And of course, now we're really, really happy. I think Patrick's here somewhere to collaborate with Patrick, who started the Space Lander Challenge, and that's been going really, really well. This one is also a really, really dear one to me. Norm Hardy, you can see here at our 1998 member gathering, and he is really a computer security pioneer, and he's now preserved at Alcor, I think, but we finally launched a Norm Hardy Prize to honor him and to push more for work in computer security. So thanks Protocol Lab and Agoric for sponsoring that. This one is the final one that I'll show you. I dug that out from 2004 Vision Weekend, and we had many folks, that people, definitely know now more in the mainstream, like Ralph Merkel, Eliezer Yudkowsky, Steve Omohundu, already back then discussing AI progress, and it was pretty dicey. And we launched finally our AI safety grants this year. But I think all of this is just to show that, like, if you look back at how ambitious people were all the way back then about technological progress, I think it really merits us to push forward, right? I think we're really standing on the shoulders of a lot of people that really, really cared. And I really want to encourage us this weekend to look a little bit further. So I think oftentimes we see ourselves as a snapshot of civilization, but I think by looking back in the past a bit, we can see ourselves perhaps a little bit more as an iteration within a larger civilizational game. And I'm hoping that we pay it forward this weekend and really think boldly. And I don't think we should only be making progress on the technology goals that were set back then, early days, but we should also come up with new ones. It can't be that we're still just trying to make progress on old goals. We need new ideas, right? And so really think boldly throughout this weekend. Now, how are you going to do it? Well, let's get into some of the meaty, greedy bits. Who has signed up to the sign-up list already? Most of you. It's not mandatory, but if you want to, and if you want to be added to the WhatsApp group where we do all of the logistical coordination, sign up via this link, and that it auto-populates this participant spreadsheet where you can find everyone. And they all provided something that they need, that they can provide, and that's really for you, one-on-one, to connect with people. So don't take it lightly. I still see people online on these 3 years after our main events, just roaming through the spreadsheets, trying to find people. So they're really, they're useful for you to actually meet people here that you really, really want to meet. Now, let me walk you a bit through the agenda. We have a lot coming, and I think I already mentioned this to some extent. We've had a fully packed satellite day already yesterday, but in no time really, in about 6 minutes, hopefully, we're going to be starting the panels here. And maybe if you want to take 2 things away of this very, very long and big and extravagant agenda. Today, we're going to be discussing technology trajectories. Where could we be if technological progress went as it should? And then tomorrow, we're going to be discussing why are we not there yet? What are the main bottlenecks that are holding these fields back that are more societal, so non-technical. So today it's mostly going to be about the technologies in itself. Tomorrow is mostly going to be about like the realpolitik discussion, entirely off the record, and you can really go out and speak from your heart about what you think the field needs in a more meta sense to be moving forward. Now, for today, an important thing to note is the main track, the panel track, will be here. And at the same time, Lou over there is hosting an unconference track downstairs. So we asked many of you signed up to the participant form to provide really, really wonderful lightning talks. Thanks for that. We have a really stacked program. But again, so today, if you want the main technology track, that will be upstairs. If you want to poke around in more of the unconference sessions, that will be downstairs. And so for the upstairs track, at least, we're always going to have a back-to-back 2 panels in a row, roughly 40 minutes, maybe a little shorter. And then we're going to have a biotech and molecular machine speaker meet and greet. So there's always 2 panels, then speaker meet and greet. So if you're speaking on a panel, don't run away after, because people will want to meet you afterwards. So after each panel block, you have a chance to meet your favorite presenter and talk to them about a topic of your choice. At the same time, here we have the participant unconference. Now, then we're going to break for lunch, and then we're going to do it all over again. So in the afternoon session, again, we have the Neurotech panel and the energy and space panel here, while followed by a Neurotech and space speaker meet and greet, while we at the same time have a wild participant unconference downstairs. We take a break, and then we're going to do it all over again. For the final time, we have the Intelligent Corporation and Existential Hope panel up here, the main track, followed by a speaker meet and greet, and a participant unconference downstairs. So you really have to vote with your feet, and it's an agony of choice, I think. We then follow with a brain in a dish demo, a biomarker-based self-experimentation with sci-fox, and a stack hunt screening. So there'll be a movie screening here of a really wonderful movie that we are the first ones, really, I think, to kind of unpublicly see it. And then we ask our sponsors, speakers, and fellows to stay with us. And we're going to have another personal longevity discussion hosted by Reason, who's hosting our personal longevity group. And then we have an existential hope dinner with some delicacies, a prize award ceremony. So I hope you brought a fun futurist sci-fi accessory if you're staying for this. And we're going to have a wonderful after party with tea service, really incredible speakers, and you're welcome to linger for that as well. On the tomorrow, I'll give you just a quick sneak peek into this, because I will be discussing this again tomorrow. But everyone who's a sponsor, speaker, or fellow, we will meet at Longshot for breakfast at a rocket company, and for a really fun tour of their premises. And then we're going to have shuttles. So if you're a general attendee, your shuttles will pick you up. It's all written on the program where they're coming, so that you can make it straight to the main event venue at the Birdhouse. And if you're a speaker, sponsor, fellow, we meet at Longshot space beforehand for breakfast, and then we will shuttle you over to the main venue. But if we have all of our ducks in the row, we will be arriving, all of us, at 11 a.m. for the main arrival in Berkeley, on top of a hill. It's a beautiful house with a beautiful view. And then we're going to be diving into our realpolitik discussions. And so this is really, as I mentioned before, where we're going to take the gloves off the record. We could take a moment of silence, think about the grievances that are holding your field back, and how people in this room could possibly help solve them. Those are the conversations that usually happen at night over a drink or something, and people, I think it's just interesting or important to create a bit more common knowledge of how we can collectively move some of the meta challenges along. Again, we have a participant unconference track that is absolutely wonderful, fully packed, and then we're going to do it one more time, again with the participant unconference track. So you really have to run around tomorrow. It's going to be pretty fast-paced. We have lunch in the garden and a closing ceremony where you all get to share what you learned in the tracks that you were in, so that the people that weren't in your individual sessions can get a glimpse across disciplines of what people can take away from this weekend. We're going to have a wonderful sunset reception with Marimba Pacifica. We're going to have a tea service going on the entire time for those of you who want to chill more. And we're going to have science songs with June, I think, who's also here today. So it's going to be a really, really, really packed weekend. And you won't be able to hit all of it. We may be running late at some points, but we always have some time buffer in so that you can also really connect with each other. So if I want to leave you perhaps with a wish is that I think you can be taking 3 things away from this. There's the lowest hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit is really mostly about, well, you maybe make a new friend across a different discipline, right? You just have a new connection. The second one, that's a bit higher hanging, is that you actually have a new idea for something that you want to work on after this weekend. And then the third, the highest hanging fruit, is that you actually collaborate with people at Vision Weekend. You generate a new project, a new idea, something that you really want to work on. And we are all game to help you support that throughout the next year. I already pointed out, we have the seminars, we have the workshops, we have the prizes, fellowships, and so forth. And so just as an example, our 2023 whole brain emulation workshop was largely generated at our last Vision Weekend. And so it really, like, we are really here to support you. So don't take this just as an end of year gathering. It's the beginning of next year's gathering too. Okay, so feel free to connect wildly with other people. It's a pretty informal event. Have some fun as well. We're really nearing the Christmas season or holiday season. And one more thing, there are prediction markets. So some of you have already voted on Manifold. I added a lot of different questions for our panels. But if you haven't yet and you want to bet on this, do so. They're all hanging out in the QR code, so you can access the Foresight one really easily. I put a few in there, but a few of you also tagged yours already, so we can actually get into them during the panels. They're also, again, in the WhatsApp panel thread, if you want to really get short links to all of the predictions. Great. All right. With that, without further ado, if you have any questions about programming, come to me. Then we have Lou here for the unconference track. We have Beatrice and Lydia. Do you want to wave? All of us are wearing little antlers, so you can easily spot us in the back. So just help us, just find us if we can help you, or just say something in the WhatsApp chat. It's going to be wild, but I think it's going to be really, really fun. Thank you so much for coming. And with that, Vision Weekend is open. The first track will be biotech, starting in 1 minute up here. So if you're on the biotech and longevity panel, please move on up here. And if you're interested in the first round of unconference sessions, move downstairs with Lou now. Vision Weekend is open!